handgunners here, and they fire bullets which have a low trajectory and can have trouble with line of sight. But those bullets tend to be faster than arrows and are pretty much always armor piercing as well. You may have ranged units that are pretty explosive, like these grenade outriders. They'll have a decent firing arc, but it'll be very short range. But hey, it's explosive and that hurts. And then we have the same kind of thing in artillery units. The mortar has a nice high trajectory, but the missile travels slowly and is fairly inaccurate. But it'll do a lot of damage if it does land, including some explosion damage. Or you may have something like a cannon that functions similarly to the handgun, has a low firing arc but travels fast and hits hard with armor piercing, and is typically more accurate than those high firing arc units. So how does the damage exactly work on all these different
tempests and fire?
它这个应该要有模组，可以让地图再放大一点的。
Blood for the blood god. Of course. So be it. The Dark Master. The slaughter begins.
好穷哦！快给我钱啊，仆从国们！普通国给怎么一点都不给力呀、
kinds of ranged weapons. So, quite simply, it works the same as melee damage. You can see this if you scroll over the weapon damage on your missile attack, which will have a base damage and an armor piercing damage. In the case of these high elf archers, that is 16 base damage, which, if you don't know, means that's damage that can be blocked by armor. It's a dice roll on how much damage you do. You might do 16 base damage, 9, 5, 2, or even 0 base damage potentially, with a higher chance of blocking more damage if a unit has a lot of armor on. And then you have the armor piercing damage, which cannot be blocked no matter how much armor you've got. So with every shot that lands on a model, it will do at least
Lord of Shadows. Yes, I beg, slay this. Now, I move when fate decrees. The first Demon Prince.
我要去打下面。
Spread the darkness.
Tribesmen gather.
3 damage guaranteed from a high elf archer, meaning that every shot fired from a high elf archer can do potentially 19 damage to any model it hits. Times that by the amount of elves in a unit, which is 68 on large unit sizes, meaning high elf archers can do 1292 damage potentially per volley. But that is basically impossible because that would mean that you hit 16 base damage every single time, no missile misses a target, and they don't get blocked by shields, which is pretty much impossible. But that's how missile damage works, right? That's how all missile units, handgunners, bows, artillery units as well, they all have base damage and AP damage that works exactly the same as melee damage. So that's fine. You have a basic understanding of how missile damage works, right?
Good progress. What? Onward to destruction! You dare! Moving now! Harbinger. Shadows move.
好穷哦！好穷哦！
That's no secret though, you can see that on the unit card. But what about that explosive damage that you'll see sometimes if you scroll over missile strength, base explosive damage, armor piercing explosive damage. You'll see this on a lot of different kinds of artillery, the mortar, the Hellstorm rocket battery, the Hell cannon, the Screaming Skull catapult, flame cannons for the dwarfs, and on some infantry and cavalry units like those grenade outriders, deckhand bombers, miners with blasting charges. All these units have explosive damage, which works like this. Explosive projectile comes in, hits the ground, explodes, and then we have two circles. An innermost circle around the explosion. This is where maximum damage of the projectile is done. Anything caught in here is going to feel the full force.
Northmen come.
What? The first damned. For chaos. God Maker. I am the first. The only.
Slaughter the sheep.
Very well. The first. Time to die. There are shadows within. This is right. The 4 token. Skill acquired.
再站一个城下来。
For chaos. Ready to ruin.
看他一直失败，他好烂哦。
Of the projectile. So if a mortar round does 200 damage, anyone caught in that circle is going to take 200 damage each. The damage isn't split like splash attacks. Everybody in that circle is taking 200 damage. But it's not only those in that circle that take damage. Anyone outside of it in a certain radius will also take damage. But it'll be more damage that they take the closer they are to that inner circle. If they're on the edge of this second circle, they won't take as much damage as someone right next to the inner circle. But both will take less than somebody stuck in that inner circle. So basically, anyone in that inner circle is probably dead, and anything in close proximity to the blast is going to take a little bit of damage to some degree. So that's how explosive damage works. And of course, there's base and armor piercing damage on that explosion.
Call me master. They shall fall. Your death will be inconsequential. You are mine. This victory is mine. The crown of domination is mine. Draw that hands. Blast it!
哦，终于成功一次了！妈，死废物！
Harbinger. Back to former glories. Unmake them. My prayers are answered. Good. Now we see.
So performance can vary between different types of artillery. Now for another factor coming into effect on a lot of projectiles is penetration cap. How many models can a particular projectile go through dependent on the size of the entity it hits, infantry, cavalry, monsters, etc. The larger a model is, the harder it is for the projectile to penetrate through it, come out the other side and hit another model. This mostly just affects artillery. Let's take cannons for example. As you probably know, cannonballs are very large, very heavy, and hit very hard. So naturally, they have absolutely no problem penetrating through a good bunch of human-sized models. Cannonballs can even
The first. Good. Destroy all.
妈的嘞！我刚才知道这个人，操你妈，想搞事！
And that is yours.
No!
Zinch looks this way.
Not a chance!
You dare!
bounce once they've hit the ground to keep going to hit a few more as well. So they can fly through infantry, no problem. They can penetrate that unit easy. So safe to say the penetration cap is quite high on infantry. But what about a big old cannonball again, going through trolls this time? How many trolls can it penetrate before it gets stopped? 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th you see it bounces off the troll because it can't penetrate any more models. 4 is the maximum for maybe monstrous infantry sized units. So we got one troll down there. This second one got hit but didn't get knocked down. He still would have taken the damage. This one went down, and then this one went down and went flying backwards, but it stopped at this one. As we can see, the cannonball bounced off that troll. So you can probably...
他妈的，他这也太多大炮了吧！
I shall scar you, poor souls. Innovation.
部队可以升级了吧？
So many snowflakes.
啊，还不行啊！升很慢。
Lord of Torment. Like Mordheim. The Four Token.
这好难选哦。
New abilities. Ah, the slaughter begins. This was expected. Blue fires of hell!
这次可不可以给力一点？他真的好雷哦。
Probably imagine what happens when you shoot something even larger, like a giant. The cannonball simply bounces straight off after one hit. So it's not going to go through the giant and come out the other side and hit somebody else, because that would be a pretty ridiculous cannonball. Although it has done enough to knock this giant to the ground, the poor fella. So penetration cap is there. It's going to affect different artillery units in different ways, and is mostly affecting those low fire arc type units. Another cannonball comes in again, hits the giant right in the arse this time, bounces off, and apparently causes rectal bleeding. Jesus Christ. Just to do the same thing with a Hellblaster volley gun here, which is obviously not quite as powerful as a missile as the cannon, comes in high numbers instead though. These will penetrate infantry well enough, but when it comes to any
step too far. God Maker. Follow Ogle's winds. Eldritch fire.
那我们要被车了。
Anything larger, cavalry or above, they simply
这款是玩什么东东哦？这款是超大型战略游戏，是没有？它现在刚改版，改成把前面几代的阵营全部融合在一起，做一个全世界那么大的地图。然后你想玩谁都可以。你也可以玩好人啊，或者玩一些中立阵营啊。嗯？那这队不来打我吗？我是只有看中古战锤而已，我没有看那个40K。我之后会想看，但是没时间，而且我连中古都没看完。我想把那个人物名称关掉。这样比较好。刚刚我不然开了一个东西，画面太乱，很多词。好 ，OK。
The Four Token.
我想要再招一个混沌术士，
More power.
Despoil and ravage.
我哪边的颁布的那个法令是征兵英雄等级？这里。那他要回去，好麻烦哦。先不要好了。
What is thy will?
Madness! No! A step too far.
Marauders all. Despoil and ravage.
Die!
队友帮我守一下这一波军队，好不好？ 要不要？哇，我刚刚应该下命令了，操！太不信任电脑了，我觉得这一代的 AI 比较屌一点，应该要相信他
bounce
们
off.。You see a projectile come in here, bounces off the first bore that it hits. So the penetration cap for shooting cavalry is 1 for a Hellblaster volley gun, which also means they won't be able to penetrate anything larger, most likely, like trolls or a giant. For the most part, though, this doesn't really affect us, and you don't really need to change your targets or anything depending on the penetration cap. Artillery will usually do good work at whatever it shoots at. And of course, on missile infantry,
他还没打我哎。
The first demon prince. At one time to die. Execute. The first. I become the Dark Master.
这边怎么会开始损耗？这边怎么了？太干，地板太干净了，是不是？我们恶魔不能习惯地板太干净了。
I gain. Lord of Torment. This place is mine. For chaos. Are you a god? Die, you fools! Excellent.
不打我哎。
like normal-sized arrows and handgunner bullets, those aren't penetrating anybody. No arrow is going to go through one man and into a second one, is it now? That would be a little bit ridiculous. So penetration cap is there, but it's not something that greatly affects us. But it will affect how much damage we might potentially do. So that's damage anyway. Let's move on now to the intricacies of range. As you know, all missile units and artillery have a little cone of vision like this where when anything walks inside it, they'll be able to shoot at it. But this little cone harbors a deep dark secret that may actually affect how you choose to use your missile units. So what exactly is going on with that cone of vision? Well, here we have some Empire
这个人的影片都讲些超屌的，我觉得看完会变强很多。我们现在等回，我现在习惯等回合的时候，就是看一下他的东西，慢慢看，慢慢看，一点点吸收。就打的时候还可以用到。他都讲一些那种，他讲的是稍微进阶一点的一些游戏机制，隐藏的游戏机制，然后会改变，会大幅增强你的游戏理解。就是你会知道说，就是你刚开始玩的时候，什么兵打什么兵的那个观念，就是都是用背的，不然就是很简单的，就是长毛兵，只要是拿长毛的兵，就一定会，他一定有反大，就是对抗那个大型单位的加成，或者反骑兵嘛。然后剑盾的就是航线嘛，坦嘛，前排，然后大型武器的，大型武器或是双武器、双斧、双刀那种，都是护甲比较低，但是就是砍人很强，绞肉的 DPS 嘛。其他的什么骑兵马车什么那个再说，反正基本都这样。可是它就是会有些很细的东西。
mine now.
这个是什么？贝拉科的暗影。这个人中了我一个招，这什么意思啊？此人物受到贝拉科的暗影所玷污，此效果结束后，这位领主将会死去，成为我的恶魔王子。为什么他会中这招啊？谁放他的啊？如果这位领主击败了贝拉克的军队，或者自身的派系覆灭，便会移除此效果。靠背哦，他在久了会变成我的王子可他不能死，也不能打败我的人。什么？这是什么新的游戏机制？我完全不知道靠背哦，而且他也没有跳通知哦。我刚仔细看才看到。
The first demon prince.
他小啊，好扯哦。
Like Mordheim.
True chaos awaits. Never stop.
再来。
Fire handgunners, and every individual man will have a little cone of vision that looks like this. You notice the cone is narrower towards the unit, and as it moves away it gets wider, and then at a certain point it gets even wider for some reason. This reason is a stat called calibration distance. This is the point in your missile or artillery unit's range where their chance to hit steeply declines. Naturally, when you shoot at something, it's easier to hit it when it's closer to you, so distance is always going to apply a penalty to your accuracy and your chance to hit, but that penalty is far greater after your unit's calibration distance. So in this case for handgunners, their max
calibration 是什么？校准距离。哦。
Call me master. Harbinger. The Four Token. The Dark Master walks.
好，我们来升级一下。
Despite us come.
range is 145 and their calibration distance is 100. So after around 100 of range, they're going to start missing a lot more than they do below 100. The other part of this is calibration area. This is the predicted target area where your missile will land, potentially hitting a target. And like I just mentioned, closer to you at around 50 range, you're going to have a much smaller calibration area, meaning a higher chance of landing a shot. That will increase in size as you get further away, up to around the calibration distance where you'll still get a reasonable target area.
Overcome ice.
Oh, 拯救一下我的城。
Frozen hearts fracture.
哦，这城的守军其实挺屌的哦。 靠背，我这手军超强哎，搞屁呀、你看我那手军超扯吗？莫名其妙了。
Damnation.
Bring ruin.
Yes.
Look, champion of the lady.
The Empire.
The embodiment of fear. Respect, Khan.
Tribesmen, gather.
Godmaker. All goes to plan. I hunger for souls. Take it from me. Call me master. Take heed.
好啦，覆灭啦。还有这边要处理，跟这两个要处理掉。
Lord of Torment. Skill acquired.
My prayers are answered.
.我觉得好像在这边招一个
The Dark Master.
招一个那个傻小的英雄，不行，靠背要这个，那不行。
The first Demon Prince. 我觉得这个东西2等，先2等就够了。讲真的，再多没有意义。主要是钱，是种族要钱。
But if we're to shoot at something right at the edge of our range, in the case of these handgunners at 145, we'll see the target area is considerably larger, meaning a much greater chance of missing. Now, this is just a rough illustration. This isn't exact or anything, but you get the idea. When you're right at the edge of your range, you're going to miss a lot compared to when you're around or below your calibration distance. And the closer you are to whatever you're shooting, the more hits you're going to land. So if something is stood point blank right in front of you, you're going to land most of your shots. Make sense? Here's some of your favorite missile units, their max ranges and calibration distances. Handgunners weigh Watchers, Sisters of Avalon, Jezzail's Deck Gunners, Dark Shot.
哦，那个派系覆灭了。好，等一下，怎么他妈的有骑士在我们家里呀、操你妈骑士
Lord of Shadows.
靠背啊！
Do not stop. Into darkness. Follow me. Soon.
我可以升级他们了。
The waters are calm. Harbinger.
Shards and Chameleon Skinks. These are all their max ranges that we can see on the unit card. Here's what we can't see though, the calibration distance. When the unit starts shooting something past these numbers, the calibration distances, they start to miss a lot more than when they're below it. Most of these seem to sit around 55 to 65% of their max range. Some of them are better though. The Dark Shards, as you can see, 90 of 125. So their target area will stay relatively good for most of their range. Whereas all the other ones will be dinging shots all over the place for about the last third of their range. And we can actually see this in action in game. If you grab an artillery, hold down Alt so you can manually choose where to aim the artillery, you'll see a circle appear. This is the rough target area of where our projectiles
Shadows clear. The 4 token. The sea's call. Do not push me.
干，你死定了！你死定了！你来抢我东西，
There will be no other coronation.
你完蛋了！
will land. Watch what happens as we get further away though. The circle gets bigger. This is everything we just talked about in action. You can see the target area gets much bigger the farther away we get from that mortar. So the closer we are, the smaller the area is, increasing our chance of hitting, like here. Whereas if we move it away, we'll see it get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it is subtle, but you can see that it gets a little bit bigger faster as you get towards the end of the range. And if you sit there and watch where the projectiles land, depending on how big the circle is, you'll notice that they land pretty much in the area where it's shown. They don't land necessarily completely inside the circle, just around that area. They're not
Godmaker.
来喽，
Obviously. Time.
鬼来
Break
喽！
them.
Do you take me for a child?
我觉得我要再招一个部队了。
And for that they will pay.
我想一下，我们来一个死亡器好了。然后再开拜。
You have my promise. I was the absolute ruler of this world. Where there are shadows, I shall be. For chaos! Eldritch winds, yes!
Tribesmen, gather.
My magic is yours. Tempests and fire.
好 ，OK， 先这样。
By the Eldritch I see.
这真的好难。
They're not perfectly accurate, but you get the idea of what's happening here. When you shoot at things right at the edge of your range, you're gonna miss way more than if you're considerably closer. This goes for artillery and missiles. Let's put it to the test then. Here I've got 3 units of Skaven Jizzers, shooting at Chaos Warriors with great weapons. This first unit is but about 20 meters in front of the Jizzers, so easy pickings for them. This second unit is at around
干的 C n a b l
The coronation.
ở哪里？
The first. Let us corrupt. Now they will see true power. You may think that. Last, my true form.
早知道不招这个，这好像很烂。
The Dark Master. Lord of Torment. I foresee destruction.
有没有想要再招一个？
我觉得再招一个好了。这是我想要金属的。金属现在很不好，那先等等。
Call me master. Destroy all. White fool. Now! By the eldritch I see. We shall weave the fates. The first
好
damned.，
这批军队才刚出生就战胜了一次。
By the eldritch I see.
首先上攻了。
Obliterate! Good. Now we see.
At the calibration distance of the Jizzers, roughly around the 150. And then the last unit is right at the edge of the Jizzers' range. This is where, in theory, you will miss a lot more than you do at around half of the range. So let's see what happens. We're going to let them fire and check every few volleys to see how things are going. First volley comes off. We'll wait till everyone's finished firing. The close unit not really missing any shots here at all, maybe landing all of them. There's the first volley done about now. Let's see how much damage they've done. This unit down to 7,100 health. This second unit down to 7,200 health. And the farthest away unit still at 7,300 health. So only about 100 health in it, but it's staying true to what we should expect.
好，继续。
Good. Now we bring it to ruin. Harbinger.
我看一下，我们现在要去哪？我们要再把这边打下来吗？这边还有2个城要打，我们可能要去把这个城给这个阵营给撤掉。我们要把这个阵营给撤掉，这个那个索罗格，东亚索罗格，
Godmaker.
那个不是，那个是一个狠角色，那要小心一点。走吧。等等，我们先看一下要不要烧一音。等一下哦，我看他的技能。他这都是暗影系法术吧？我刚刚为什么要看这个？ 我直接屌招2个，
First,
招到满，好不好？
the first. Bring ruin. It is corrupt.
这边附近应该目前没有什么还会来犯的吧？哦，对，去测他们了，不错哦。那我就跟着打东边吧。
Are you a god?
然后这刚出生的小婴儿，
Good.
两个都点一样的，去偷科技。
Excellent.
好 ，OK。
Second volley coming in now. Let's get a few volleys off. There's one more. 2 more. 1 more. 3. Let's let him finish. There we go. Okay, let's have a look now. So 3 more volleys. This is 4 volleys in total. 5,200 for the close unit. So they're hitting them well. 5,400 for the middle unit. And 5,800 for the farthest away unit. So that gap is getting bigger with the more volleys. Let's do a few more. 1 volley there. 2.
干嘛啊？为什么还是跟我宣战啊？干嘛一直跟我宣战呢？这个人有什么毛病？
Call me master. Moving. March. Move now. The first demon prince. Take heed. You are mine. Harbinger. You need a boon? So many snowflakes.
哎、我这个哎、
Beyond your comprehension. For chaos. Yes, yes. Now they will see true power.
讲这是什么完美战队？
Moving.
Never stop.
For chaos. Let's be about this.
没钱。
Good progress.
3 more. 4. 1 more. 5 more volleys. Let's have a look at the damage now. The health bars are looking quite different. The closest unit has 2,300 health left. The middle unit has 3,300 health left. So that's 1,000 different. And the farthest away unit still has 4,000 health. So that is quite substantial. There's a lot of ammo being wasted shooting at this farthest away unit. Nearly 2,000 damage worth of missed shots. So what can we learn from this? Well, the obvious answer is stop shooting at things that are right at the edge of your range. However, is that a good idea? Because then you don't get so much time to fire. But there it is. It's up to you what you do with that information. I think if it's a really expensive unit like Jizzers or Sisters of Avalon or Way Watchers, trying to get that little bit closer so you miss less is probably a good idea.
OK，
Lord of Torment. I am Shadow. You dare!
Yes, Lord of Change.
Ready? Moving!
我看一下啊，
Dominance.
By the eldritch I see.
这个人是谁？
Now!
What? Cinch looks this way. Good. Now we see. Let's be about this.
我刚才眼突然看不太懂发生什么事，强调。
Because that ammo is worth a lot, because it's powerful. If it's just a crappy unit of Goblin Archers, it probably doesn't matter so much. But up to you. One of the simplest ways to make use of this could be to take your powerful missile units, shooting at important enemy targets, and just try to move them closer sometimes. Even if it's only 20 or 30 meters, that could help you be way more accurate at landing hits on your target, albeit at the risk of safety, of course. Now to another couple of stats that affect all this calibration malarkey: accuracy and marksmanship bonus. Let's start with accuracy, which is often misconstrued.
你们联邦了，我操嘞！那我不能乱扁他了呢。
Lord of Shadows. Follow me. Let us corrupt. I concur.
For chaos. Go now.
What? Blue fires of hell!
What is thy will?
哎，起来了。
你在外面要睡那么久？怎么了？啊？下蛋？你是下蛋？你下蛋？现在？不是才刚来？
但不是人类。
所以是之前的，是不是？
Onward to destruction.
现在是在下蛋吗？
我怎么知道你在下蛋？在下蛋？
下蛋吗？
对啊。这个人该给他练一点杀人的。
The gods smile.
没啊？干嘛？你会饿吗？我可以啊。你晚餐吃？你几点吃的？几点？可是现在3点呢，应该还是有馍或什么的，我可以吃馍。馍好像还行。
The 4 token.
但我要怎么车他啊？他那么狠，还是我先把这个城堡给打
Follow
下来。
Ogre's winds.
We shall weave the fates.
哎呦，哎，这好可爱！哎呦，压到线了！哦呦，
They cursed.
哎，这个很可爱哎，你怎么那么会画
They？ will pay.
我操嘞！哎，你这个很扯哎，你这个应该会卖超好。你这个太扯了！看，我怎么看到勃起耶？
Moving now.
建筑物水毁，谁弄我？哦，事件，怎么那么衰小的事件呢、啊？
Blue
重大失败，干你娘！第一次才刚走到走那么远，弄下去就有自己死。操！你刚刚给我看了吗？你刚刚给我看啥？哇哇！棒的！哎，这好会画哦。
你爸爸的那个本子里面讲的那个
你很棒哎，真的啊，你这个是很棒的啊。
Innovation. This is right.
Bella Curve 的，我的 Bella，
推荐的那个
深夜未归啊。啊，可是他是吃什么？会不会很油啊？我是怕我 Luxy Girl。
Archaon is weak. It should have been me.
让你看看。
Yes. Good. The spoilers come.
大鱼
I crown myself.
你要吃馄饨？
你要煮哦？这么好？怎么会这么好？
一手馄饨，青菜。
那个馄饨要赶快吃，不能煮多，然后就那个饼干煮。
然后煮个。
还剩多少？没有，我们2个人吃可以一餐把它吃掉的话，就一起煮吧。因为他说那个不要放太久。
And misunderstood. Accuracy is not a stat that determines how accurate a unit really is. That is mostly calibration distance and calibration area. Those two numbers determine how far and how accurate units are over their given distances. What accuracy does is it modifies those two base values, calibration area and calibration distance, effectively improving them and basically just making that little area smaller so you're more likely to hit your target through each point of the calibration all the way up to your max range. We can see this in action in game as well. The Dwarf Master Engineer, he has an ability, Ballistics Calibration.
不要干我啊！我没怎样。
The first damned.
刚刚忘记取消这个刷起。
The Dark Master. Into darkness.
Ready. Onward to destruction. Bring ruin. The gods direct me. Of course.
Malleus is mine. I named it. They cursed me. And for that they will pay.
搞的传送门开了，超屌，超屌之门。
Despoilers come.
是干，怎么又有一队啊？而且这个雷达上都不显示敌人军队来袭是怎样？
I will not blight my soul.
一定要这么智障吗？那雷达不显示的哎、欸。靠北啊！
which increases accuracy and reload skill. Reload skill simply makes them reload faster, and accuracy will make their target area smaller, as we can once again see by holding Alt on an artillery. So here we have a couple of dwarf cannons. This one is currently being buffed by ballistics calibration, and if we look at the target area by holding Alt, we'll see it's very small. And as we move farther and farther away, it still stays pretty damn small because that accuracy is up. The calibration distance and the calibration area have been changed to give it a much better accuracy. And if you look at the normal one, well, you can see the difference. The circle is absolutely huge.
Lord of Shadows.
我要来车掉他了。
You remind me of... I shall scar you. You will serve me.
好，
The first.
再度纳为己有。
Call me master. Dominance.
我看一下要不要回手。对，他妈的，他在我陆地上。
God maker.
The gods direct me. Foe. Forward and to slaughter! I think not. Are you a god?
The Four Token. New abilities.
Ah! The slaughter begins.
他变成我仆从国了，是不是？对耶，这边有小弟耶，爽哦！
This is the normal cannon versus a master engineer buffed cannon. So this is what accuracy skill does. It changes those two values. It's not the single stat that determines how accurate a unit is. Accuracy is just a property of the two calibrations. And the same thing happens if we add chevrons onto ranged units. Every chevron adds 3 points of accuracy to
The first demon prince.
好，这边也被我们搞定了。
What?
我看他家里那个低能儿，看他还在。
Moving. You need a boon. You may think that.
我要来喽！
The first damned. Spread the darkness. Do not stop. You dare move. True chaos awaits.
看一下还有谁要动？还没有。 这要盖什么？还没钱哈。
To a ranged unit. So we'll see the same thing happening that we just saw happen with the dwarf cannons. These are Empire mortars. One is fully upgraded to rank 9. You can see the circle is really small up close, but that's going to be the case on both of them. So target area is nice and small up close, as you would expect. Better accuracy the closer something is, but as we move away and we look at the triple gold chevron version, that circle is still tiny, even a good distance away, whereas the unchevroned mortar has a much bigger zone, as we can see there. So the same thing is happening. The target area gets smaller overall with the more accuracy we add on, whether that's with abilities, whether that's with chevrons.
这个人干嘛？哦，贸易。OK， 这我们刚刚收的小弟。
Lord of Torment.
OK， 我看一下哦。我们先升一下纳购好了。
Our thoughts crystallize. The first.
然后我还是想把这个城给打下来。
The Dark Master walks.
My magic is you. Bring it to ruin.
成功碎，再来一个
Chaos. Blast it. Since the
碎啦！双成功，双层公寓，
yes, my lord of change.
超屌！
It is corrupt.
好，这就来惩罚一下这个小屁孩。
For chaos. Invade. My magic is yours.
Do you take me for a child?
Arcane might.
准备惩罚你，还在那边偷削我弟。
When I am ready.
Excellent. The gods smile.
Ultimately increasing our chance of landing shots with our chosen ranged units. So that's what accuracy does. Marksmanship bonus basically does the same sort of thing. It's accuracy again, but it's inherent to the weapon that's being used. A bow, a musket, a cannon, the different weapons have their own different accuracies rather than the accuracy of the unit itself. So it's just another factor in the calculation on how small this little target area is. Honestly, it's even more complicated than this. There's a whole bunch of other stats that go into it. I don't fully understand it by any means, but all we need to know is that accuracy makes the target area smaller. Simple.
他这个影片的节奏啊，他的影片的节奏跟我们读取一回合的时间是完全 match 上的。你看我们刚刚他讲完一回合说 ，OK， 好，这个怎样，所以这个圈圈就代表什么？代表它的准确度或什么的。这样好 ，OK， 然后你看他正在切镜头的时候，我们刚好读取完就可以切回来玩。干，这太扯了吧！我们已经进入一个 zone 了
Lord of Shadows. Shadowed.
我是觉得蛮
True
扯的。
chaos awaits.
Call me master.
You dare. Go now. For chaos. Moving now. What eldritch I see.
我操，这个人还想跑啊！
Despoil. Destroy.
怎么办？他还是跑钱好少哦，我们已经占那么多这个屌城了，还那么穷。蒲松国给我1000，还行蒲松国，我给到1000啊。我跟你讲哦，这个冰崖海湾，这2个长船牧场跟冰湖湾，我送人了。好不好？我送人了。哎呦，这么好，谢谢。好，长船牧场跟冰湖湾，我们各送给一个蒲松国。我看一下我的钱收入能加多少。现在1023哦，记一下。来，直接开送。这边送给这个城叫什么？冰湖湾。
To be honest, I'd rather be raiding.
冰湖
But you
湾
have my time.
冰湖湾送给你，顺便跟你勒索一点钱，勒索个5200。
It's done.
好，刚1023对不对？现在多少？1090。加了60几，67。1090还可以，好，主要是我们刚才也跟他勒索了一波5000块，再来，这个是这一国。
Enter then. Are you after a drink, a fist fight, or both?
来长船牧场，我们送你。
Outstanding.
干，我忘记跟他要钱了。算了，多少？1159，哇，他加很多哦，这个加很多哦。可以，不错。我们不要的这些小城就送是阿迪亚，我们只留这个主村。
好 ，OK。我要来吃个饭，我们的晚餐来了。那我们来看个轻松的，吃个饭。
男神来了，全台最帅高中生集合，
欢迎校草们来喽！
要介绍的同学是非常清纯可爱型的，非常最帅的，2、3千个人在小巨蛋，然后为他疯狂尖叫，
有一点那个言承旭的 feel， 日系的潘玮柏那一类的。
时间笑，
他可以，身材是好的，摸了之后就知道了。
OK 了
，OK 了，那有在练了吗？
当你看到他照片的时候，
是，
你喝苦茶都会变成甜的。疫情假的时候，我就无聊就拍抖音，就不小心70万赞。
70万，这个惊叹，你是网红哎，他是自体出道的那一种哎，还有，
表演的很好，然后很害羞，但拉链好像没拉。
号称是全台湾最帅的高中生啊！
是的。
当我们这一期这样在播出，还没有播，对不对？大家甚至看到这里，可能有些就已经在买车票冲过来台北了。
哎，现在要集合帅哥很不容易，
我跟你讲，但是帅他是有几种状态。
好，来你讲讲看。
纯粹只是外貌哦，他还有内在。
哦 ，OK 啊。
对不对？像我的哥哥也算是全校最帅的，因为他成绩很好。
我的阿贝没有很帅啦，你才是帅的啦。
真的吗？
又长得帅，又有内容，又有历练，又见过世面，又懂吃，什么都会，你就是，对，你就是完美。
你懂我啦，你懂我啦，没有，帅就是还要包含内在的，对，内在很重要。有跟校草交往过吗？
强强，我跟你讲，我以前在学校是校花了，好不好？
校花怎么不能跟杂草在一起？
当然不行啊，你
黑玫瑰。
对你很挑，我跟你说，其实学校成绩绝对不，我觉得还好。重要的是他的内在是你这个人有没有点经历，有没有历练，有没有背几次小过，有没有警告，
对，
才厉害。
警告这个叫历练呐，
肯定要啊！
哇塞，
以前是怎么样？
我12岁脸上就有刀疤吧？
哎呀，那不用，那不行，但至少你要有办法是号召人家，不是说推人家出去送死的，你有没有扛得起责任？
他要画鸡丸的时候可以画得了。
对，你有没有那种能力？那还有我以前在学校的时候，
你以前讲话就是这种机关炮吗？
我跟你们说件事，我刚进我的高中的时候啊，然后呢，我的隔壁班男生都会来我的班上来偷看我，
偷看你啊，
隔壁来偷看我，然后你知道吗？然后高2的时候不是要分一班了吗？我跟你讲，
我睁眼啊！
对，我换到那群男生班的时候，他们吓死了，你知道吗？
这边高中而已。
看到学校里面都叫我的名字，看到同班的时候都吓坏了，而且你知道我以前高中
萧强，
没有，他们要叫我本名，什么强？他叫我本名叫林嘉玲，
伟强，
对，然后我就
看这边，
嘉玲，
哦，这种，不行，你自己这样讲，我们要看他高中的照片有多漂亮。
这个还可以，这个
sorry，
早在16岁的时候，那时候16岁，然后后面偷看我的男生是我那时候去英国交男朋友，你知道我们是游学团，我们那是游学团在机场转机的地方，然后后面都还不认识，立刻被我打到了，然后后面那个是我直接进到一个流氓高中，就是国中升高中的时候，
开始爱打扮了，爱漂亮，
然后呢就开始打扮变成这个样子，你看
那个年代来说，我们也没有修图，也没有滤镜，然后也没有什么打扮，对 ，OK 了。
但是我觉得男生，我对校草的那个标准是要阳刚，还是要阳刚，
要 man 一点，
现在有一种花美男，
哇呀，不行啦，都粉的涂很粉味太重了啦，
你都比他阳刚。
对呀，
来跟你借化妆品来用。
有啊，还卷头发的，烫头发那。
哇，不行啊！我这一种就阳刚了。
对你那种型那种就可以，阳刚型的。
旁边这位不得了啦，
蔡瑞雪来了，
北一女的校花蔡瑞雪 Risha。
你好。
哎呦， 天哪，哦，腿好长哦，哦，还可能放在地上啊。
我是走到边边，
他本身已经快要摔下来了。
是。
但他个儿比较娇小。
现在几岁啦？
哦，我现在25岁了。
25岁哦。
我已经是老妹了。
老妹啊，什么话？哪有什么老不老妹？伟成跟那个雨桐，你们两位是民雄鬼屋派来的。
对。
哎呦，介绍一下他们新电影。
我是刘伟成。
哎，
各位观众朋友们，大家好，我是麦雨桐。
哎，
好可爱哦，是那个新朋友来着。
对，民雄鬼屋啊。
对，民雄鬼屋现在在热映当中，那我们就是来宣传我们的电影。
锦华姐也有演，对不对？
对，锦华姐是我们的主演。
好，当然就是把我们那个传统的民俗文化，把它变成一个电影啦，跟大家分享。
蛮帅，这个有哦，高中小啊，今年几岁啦？
这个蛮帅的
，24岁
，OK
了，年轻。然后雨桐才16岁啊。
啊，我14岁。
14岁啊！你有跟你爸爸妈妈讲啊？这么晚还在外面？
我就这个年纪的时候，我已经在美国一个人了。
对呀，真的。
这样想起来觉得好恐怖哦。
对啊。
但是他们现在这样一起拍电影了，那等一下也陪着我们一起来看一下高中男生现在大概是什么个样子？
对。
有没有到你们心目中校草？
好，我们等下再来看，干，这好蛮好看的。
The first demon prince, Harbinger.
我想要来打一波大的。
God Maker.
他现在有几块地呀？他有七块地哦，不少。7块地，是没有很想去动基斯里夫啊。其实，我比较想动这个暗精灵。
The first.
不过我觉得这可能还是要先扁下去，会比较好一点。
Of course.
Now.
他们怎么跑那么快啊？
Attack!
The Dark Master. Take heed.
My prayers are answered.
Lord of Torment.
你就要打吗？打好了。
Time. There is no escape from the Dark Master. There are shadows within. Call me Master.
黑暗要塞就在脸上，岂有不打的道理？对吧？
The Four Token. More power.
Dominance! Move! What?
Or is it? I got to wondering whether this accuracy improvement really does make a difference having that much smaller target area. So I did some testing in the only way I know how, by blowing up some dwarfs. So I've got 2 Empire mortars here, one completely unranked, just a normal mortar, and one triple gold chevroned up. We're going to blow up some dwarfs until these dwarfs reach us and see which one can do more damage. First volley's coming in. The rank 9 mortar lands its first few shots on the right, unranked on the left. Very similar performance on the first volley. Let's fast forward, this could take a while.
All goes to plan. The first damned.
Are you a god? Eldritch fire! Obliterate!
Harbinger, the first demon prince.
Dominance!
他又跑上岸了，他他妈他到底想怎样啊？
Let's be about this. Hail the slaughterer!
这个人完全在找死。
With their tiny legs. This is against the AI, so they're kind of trying to dodge it, but both units are doing that, so it's kind of fair, I guess. I'm going to run this a bunch of times as well, but we'll see how it ends up on this first run. Okay, we're out of volleys now, I think. Let's have a look at who did more damage. So we got 2,400 left for the dwarfs being shot by the ranked up mortar, and 2,700 for the ones being shot by the unranked mortar. So only a small difference in performance, a few hundred health. I ran this 3 or 4 times to see the difference, and this is another run. You can see they're both taking a fair amount of damage so far. Even though the ranked up mortar's target area is going to be much smaller, there didn't seem to be a great deal of difference in performance. Maybe this is just...
You dare! I foresee destruction. Ravish them! Bring them to ruin!
干我贴他那么近，我不能打他。操你老母！
My lord Sinch agrees. Bring ruin. Eldritch fire.
The first. Time to die. God Maker. The 4 token.
Motive change.
可以哦，干我的英雄队开始起床咯。
You need a boon? We shall weave the fates. Forward unto slaughter.
Dark Master. Back to former glories.
Ah, the slaughter begins. Good. Now we see. Good. Now we see.
钱还是很少。
Mortars being massively inaccurate generally, but the unranked mortars target here down to 800 health, while the ranked up target's down to 1600 health, so the normal mortar performing better in this case. One more time then. In this one, the rank 9 mortar manages to break its units quite early.
他跑来打我，为什么啊？
I dreamt of a time when I flew across. Lord of Torment.
贝拉科。 他刚那队跑去哪？跑去海上。
Shadows move. March. Follow me.
Despoilers come. Blue fires of hell.
Lord of Shadows.
Moving now.
毒龙城在山的另外一面。
By the eldritch I see. Move. The gods smile. The gods smile. Excellent.
But this last volley's coming in for the unranked one here, and it does more damage again. 1200 left for the one being shot by the fancy mortar, and only 1000 health left for the dwarfs being shot by the unranked mortar. So it seems really hard to get conclusive evidence that that smaller target area is really making a big difference. So I thought maybe it's just the inaccuracy of mortars. Let's try it with something really accurate. Good old Jizzers. Let's have them shoot some unshielded dwarf warriors and see which one can do more damage. Again, I ran this test a bunch of times. I'm just going to show you this one though. You may notice that the ranked up Jizzers are
和平条约。No, no, 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 no.
firing a bit faster. They actually get off one more volley than the unranked version as well. I think they get 9 volleys to the 8 volleys of the normal one. So they get 1 extra volley over the unranked version, yet still they weren't able to do any more damage really than the unranked version. We'll give them 1 more volley here. Ranked up ones with their last volley. Unranked with their last volley. And we'll pause and let's look at the health. The dwarves on the right, shot by the ranked up Jizzers.
It is mine now. Call me master. I hunger for souls. Suck it. The first demon prince. This is right.
好，我要继续迈进。他那个军队耍起，走到海上去。
Move now.
This was expected. By eldritch winds, yes. Fold. Such arrogance. Excellent.
哇，这盖房子要超级多钱。这个阵营的恶魔阵营的那个灵魂货币都超贵，那个币值不知道是发生什么低能毛病。
Down to 1800 health, and the dwarfs on the left, shot by the unranked Jizzers, 1800 health, even with an extra volley. So it's hard to really say whether that accuracy from the chevrons is worth it. But this is a subject that will probably require some deeper investigation and testing, but I for one am skeptical of putting the money on chevrons to increase accuracy because I haven't really seen any great gains in performance. It still seems pretty hit or miss, pun intended.
The first.
What is thy will? Obliterate!
I don't like snow either.
Dominance. Forward unto slaughter.
Godmaker. Do not stop.
Corrupt. Despoilers, come!
Shields. Let's talk about shields. As you may or may not know, a bronze shield on a unit blocks 35% of missiles, potentially, and a silver shield will block 55% of missiles, potentially. This means if you shoot at these units with your missiles, there's a good chance you're going to be wasting a lot of ammo. But what angle of protection does the shield provide, and what kind of projectiles can it block? Can it block a cannonball? Can it block an arrow? Can it block a magic missile? Let's start with the angle. Shields will block 120 degrees in front of the wielder, giving them protection from the front and the kind of front.
I foresee destruction.
干，他派一堆这个烂船来我们家这边绕，你想要干嘛
You have my promise. Move in now.
重点是雷达都不显示的，他明明就是敌军啊！我有给他们宣战吧？有啊，干！
Armored in faith.
操你妈的，这对包怎么是隐形队？
For token. Venture forth. I wait.
Bring it to ruin! Ready. Blast it!
Front and sides. So if you shoot at shielded units from these angles, you will likely have your missiles blocked. But if you shoot them from directly behind, from the perpendicular side, or somewhere in between, you will not be affected by the shield at all, and all your missiles will land if they hit somebody. This is why you need to be careful of who you're shooting at with your missile units, especially if they're expensive units with powerful ammo. If you shoot at silver shielded units from the front, there's a good chance you're going to waste 60, 70, maybe 80% of your ammo, because 55% is going to get blocked by missiles potentially, and you're simply going to miss. So you're probably going to waste a hell of a lot of ammo basically. You'll be better finding a more vulnerable target or trying to flank around to get those.
The first damned. This is my land.
No!
Harbinger. Obviously. I shall scar you. Take it from me.
又占一个了。
Lord of Shadows. Dark Master.
Slaughter the sheep. Blue fires of hell. Tempests and fire. Blue fires of hell.
好，妈这死破船跑哪去了？
Very well, I'll move.
来啊，你要走是不是？
For chaos.
我看你要走去哪。
The first Demon Prince. Skill acquired.
For chaos. Good. Now we see. The gods smile. Northmen come.
missiles in the back so that the shields don't come into play. But what kinds of projectiles can be blocked by shields? Well, it depends which category they fall into. These are the main categories: arrow, artillery, axe, grenade, javelin, miscellaneous, musket, or sling. Every single ranged unit will be put into one of these categories, affecting how their missile performs. And it is these three that cannot be blocked by shields: artillery, grenades, and miscellaneous.
他气急败坏，跑来自杀。
Ranged attacks. Artillery being mostly obvious artillery units, but also some infantry units like these Ushabti great bows. They fire a massive arrow, more like a ballista shot, so good luck trying to block that with a shield. Also things like the Skaven mortars and globadiers count as artillery. Grenades, fairly obvious, anything explosive, blasting charges, deckhand bombers. And miscellaneous is mostly magic and abilities. Magic missiles, the Arrow of Kurnus, Vindictive Glare, also breath attacks from dragons, vomit attacks from Throg or a river hag, any kind of ranged attack that doesn't really fit into any of these other categories. And all the other ones should be fairly self-explanatory, although some things can be a little bit weird, like Iron Drakes are classed as a musket, which is anything massive arrow, more like a ballista shot, so good luck trying to block that with a shield. Also things like the Skaven mortars and globadiers count as artillery. Grenades, fairly miscellaneous, is mostly magic and abilities.
The first. Lord of Torment.
它后面还有这么多层哦，我觉得后面要打吗？后面还有黑暗要塞。后面好像就没有什么黑暗要塞了。哦，右下普拉格还有一个这里。可是这好远哦，我有点懒得拿欸。我不想去普拉格了。
Take heed. They shall fall. Godmaker.
我部队可以升级了吗？这个可以。